friends. In this video we will learn about from gathering to growing food. Today, most of our food such as fruit, vegetables, grain, milk and meat comes from plants that are grown and animals that are reared. Different plants grow in different conditions. Rice, for example, requires more water than wheat. This explains why farmers grow some crops in some areas and not in other areas. Different animals too prefer different environments. Men and women observed several things: the places where edible plants were found, how seeds broke off stalks, fell on the ground and new plants sprouted from them. In this way people become farmers. Women, men and children could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals such as sheep, goat, cattle and also the pig lived in herds, and most of them ate grass. This is how they became herders. Domestication is the process in which people grow plants and look after animals. Plants and animals that are tended by people become different from wild plants and animals. Domestication was a gradual process that took place in many parts of the world. It began about 12,000 years ago. Virtually all the plant and animal produce that we use as food today is a result of domestication. People select plants that yields large-size grain, and have strong stalks, capable of bearing the weight of the ripe grain. Amongst animals, those that are relatively gentle are selected for breeding. When people began growing plants, it meant that they had to stay in the plants, watering, weeding, driving away animals and birds till the grain ripened. And then the grain had to be used carefully. As grain had to be stored for both food and seed, people had to think of ways of storing it. Animals multiply naturally. Besides, if they are looked after carefully, they provide milk, which is an important source of food, and meat, whenever required. In other words, animals that are reared can be used as a store of food. Archaeologists have found evidence of early farmers and herders. Some of the important ones are in the northwest, in present-day Kashmir, and in East and South India. To find out whether these sites were settlements of farmers and herders, scientists study evidence of plants and animal bones. Scientists can identify the grains and also identify the bones of different animals. Archaeologists have found traces of huts or houses at some sites. For instance, in Burzahom, in present-day Kashmir, people built pit houses. Pit houses were dug into the ground, with steps leading into them. These may have provided shelter in cold weather. Archaeologists also found cooking hearths both inside and outside the huts, which suggests that, depending on the weather, people could cook food either indoors or outdoors. Stone tools have been found from many sites as well. Many of these are different from the earlier Paleolithic tools, and that is why they were called Neolithic. These include tools that were polished to give a fine cutting edge. Mortars and pestles are used for grinding grain. Even today, several thousand years later. Many kinds of earthen pots have also been found. These were sometimes decorated, and were used for storing things. People began pots for cooking food, especially grains like rice, wheat and lentils that now became an important part of the diet. Farmers and herders that live in groups are called tribes. Members of a tribe follow occupations such as hunting, gathering, farming, herding and fishing. Some men are regarded as leaders. Tribes have rich and unique cultural traditions, including their language, music, stories and paintings. They also have their own gods and goddesses. Mehrgarh is located in fertile plain, near the Bolan Pass. The Bolan Pass is a mountain pass through the Tobacco range of Baluchistan province in western Pakistan, 120 km from the Afghanistan border. The pass is an 89 km stretch of the Bolan River Valley from Rindli in the south to the Wazar near Kolpur in the north. It is made up of a number of narrow gorges and stretches. It connects CBSE with Quetta both by road and railway. Mehrgarh is a Neolithic site, dated circa 7000 BC to circa 2500-2000 BCE, which lies on the Kochi plain of Baluchistan, Pakistan. It is located near the Bolan Pass, to the west of the Indus River Valley and between the present-day Pakistani cities of Quetta, Kalat, and CBSE. The site was discovered in 1974 by an archaeological team directed by French archaeologists Jean-François Jarrage and Catherine Jarrage, and was excavated continuously between 1974 and 1986, and again from 1997 to 2000. Archaeological material has been found in 6 mounds, and about 32,000 artifacts have been collected. Mehrgarh was probably one of the places where women and men learned to grow barley and wheat, and rear sheep and goats for the first time in this area. It is one of the earliest villages that we know about. Archaeologists who excavated the site found evidence of many kinds of animal bones from the earliest levels. These included bones of wild animals such as deer and pig. In later levels, they found more bones of sheep and goat. In still later levels, cattle bones are most common, suggesting that this was the animal that was generally kept by the people. Other finds at Mehrgarh include remains of square or rectangular houses. Each house had 4 or more compartments, some of which may have been used for storage. When people die, their relatives and friends generally pay respect to them. People look after them, perhaps in the belief that there is some form of life after death. Burial is one of such arrangement. When archaeologists are digging at an excavation site, how do they know which level is earlier and which is later? Stratigraphy is the study of layered materials that were deposited over time, their lateral and vertical relations, as well as their composition. The basic law of stratigraphy, the law of superposition, states that lower layers are older than upper layers, unless the sequence has been disturbed. Stratified deposits may include soils, sediments, and rocks, as well as man-made structures such as pits and post holes. The adoption of this principle by archaeologists greatly improved excavation and archaeological dating methods. By digging from the top downward, the archaeologist can trace the buildings and objects on a site back through time using techniques of typology, that is the study of how types change in time. Object types, particularly types of pottery, can be compared with those found at other sites in order to reconstruct patterns of trade and communication between ancient cultures. When combined with stratification analysis, an analysis of the stylistic changes in objects found at a site can provide a basis for recognizing sequences in stratigraphic layers. Daojali Hading is a Neolithic site in the Mohsar district of Assam. Daojali Hading is on a low hillock about 1,000 feet above sea level, dated to about 2,700 years before present. It is excavated in 1961-63 by a team led by M.C. Goswami and T.C. Sharma. It is the first stratified Neolithic site discovered in northeast India. The excavation yielded typical shouldered celts and cord-marked pottery. The cord-marked pottery is a unique characteristic that the site shares with Sirotaru and other northeast Indian Neolithic sites. Catal Huyuk is one of the largest and best preserved Neolithic settlements known to archaeologists. Several things were brought from great distances: flint from Syria, cowries from the Red Sea, shells from the Mediterranean Sea, and used in the settlement. Remember, there were no carts. Most things would have been carried on the backs of pack animals such as cattle or by people. Thanks for watching. Visit our channel now for your better understanding. Please do like, share and subscribe our channel.